Good evening, everyone. On your Sunday tonight, here we go. Our drivers pull away from the grid. Everyone's lined up. We got a full 40 driver grid with us tonight. Bear with us a little bit. This is going to be kind of interesting as we stream on, Twitch for the first time. Let me go ahead. We'll cancel that. Oops, that's not what I wanted. One more time. All right, I'm back here. Perfect. All right, as our drivers are going around the grid, we're going to go ahead and get one, I believe it's a rolling start here from our GT race. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get this out of the way here. All right, cannot get that to go away. So, bear with us a little bit. We're going to go ahead and get those all figured out here. Whoa, that's not right. ACC. And it is green for our racers tonight. Vandekelt is going to lead the race here tonight. Lead us down the main straight. Takes it down. Whoa, we've already got one way wide to the left. Looks like the Aston Martin possibly of Fitzpatrick there. Yep, is going off to the side. He's going to have to rejoin. Can't quite get it done. Let's go ahead and follow our leaders here. Oh, we've got McLaren just shoots off to the right side. Could have been barrier. Looks like Huesca in the Ferrari, maybe. No, the McLaren of Hinden there. We've got Huesca right now riding on board with. There we go. Battling with the Mercedes right behind Junior there. Barrier and Huesca battling it out. Barrier just ahead. Huesca seeming to get the better run on him for the time being. See, there we go. Picks up Huesca. Nice gap starting to form between himself and Walker behind him. Walker only 0.6 behind. Then Huesca. Barrier in fourth. Junior in third. Pride in second. And Vandekelt in in first. Leading the way right now. Pride only 1.8 seconds behind Vandekelt. Junior 1.4 seconds. Huesca only 0.8 seconds behind Junior. Then Barrier, Fitzpatrick, Clements, McCauley, Marsh, Sosa, McLeod, Ruiz, Warren, Walker, Roderick, Martin, Upton, Cross, Moriarty, and Devon make up your top 20 so far. Let's see. Ferrari goes around the outside of Huesca. Is able to get that done. The Lexus of, the AMC. No, Lexus of Barrier there is going to give him a run for his money. Not going to quite get it done on the corner there. Is going down the main straight. Huesca and McCauley now going at it. Huesca falling back. Ferrari, one of those cars that is going to have a tough time getting around the corners today. The curbs are a little steep, and it is a little rough for our drivers today. Oh, that is not a racing view I want. There you can see Huesca right now, right behind Clements and McCauley right now, just sneaking his way in there, trying to get just to the inside of the Honda. Can't quite get it done. Is going to go ahead and try and get a run down the main straight here to get that done. See, trying to get the chat window to go away at the moment. It's not cooperating. So, might just have to deal with it for the rest of the race, unfortunately. Not something I can really get to go away. All right, Vandekelt out in front, 1.7 seconds ahead of Pride. Today is a 90-minute race, of which we can't see any on HUD. Unfortunately, Cody Pride right now with the fastest lap with a 1 minute 44.046.
As Ruiz has a nice train forming behind him.
can see that on your screen. Now we've got Ruiz. Then behind him, we've got McLeod, Walker, Warren, Roderick, Martin, Upton, Cross, and Moriarty. All drivers looking to contend for that 13th place position. Excuse me, for the 11th place position. Take that away for Ruiz right now. All of our drivers are going to try. You can see, watch some of these cars as they go down. We've got the McLaren. Excuse me, right now we're focusing on the Lamborghini with the Honda right behind it, then a Lexus. Those, of course, are cars that are going to be struggling today. It's those low clearance cars around these corners that you're going to have to see handle those corners a lot more delicately than some of our other drivers here today. Yep, I cannot get that to go away. Hey, there we go. All right, now we've got our broadcasting view back. Sometimes all it takes is just a little bit of a restart. Awesome. Now we're off and running. We are watching Walker right now in 13th. Go down the side of the track there. Let's see. There we go. Now, awesome. We've got a nice track map you can see. So we're going to go ahead and try and loop some of this in and catch the action on the race. Thank you for bearing with us. We've got an exciting race already in progress for you today. We're following 60 of Walker, the number 60 car of Walker right now. Go ahead and chase down McLeod in the Honda NSX. Going to be trying to, as it starts to rain here. So our drivers, 90-minute race today. It's going to be one required pit stop. So a driver can take their current tires all the way to the end of the race, provided they've made the right decisions about the tires that they need and how it's going to affect them the rest of the race. Let's go ahead and move on to Pride right now in second. Has Barrier just behind him, is going to be able... he's going to try and hold him off. The BMW, one of the cars that is strongly positioned at the track this weekend. Lexus going to have a little bit more of trouble, but shouldn't be too bad. Lexus is one of those ones that doesn't have extremely high ground clearance, but it's not extremely low either. So BMW, Merc, and Aston are the cars that you're going to want to see, or excuse me, you'll likely see our front runners in today. But right now, front runner, of course, is Coquelt in the Mercedes AMG, Pride in the BMW, Barrier in the Lexus, and Clements in the Aston Martin. Right now, Pride is starting to pull away from Barrier at the moment. Let's see if we can see. Looks like a relatively clean race so far. Let's go ahead and move over to Van der Kelt. He's out in front. No chance of a challenge at the moment. Let's go ahead and go down to... see, it's McCauley in 5th, Fitzpatrick in 7th. Fitzpatrick caught in a little bit of a scruff in the Aston. He's in the 127 car you see on the screen currently. He's got Junior just in front of him, then McCauley going to try and chase him down. Fitzpatrick in that Aston is going to try and close some of that gap on the Mercedes going in the slipstream. Expect that to be extremely useful today with the 11-kilometer an hour wind as well as the rain today. Drivers are going to be looking for all of the reduction in downforce they can possibly find. Fitzpatrick rounding what looks like turn number 7 right now is going to go up the hill. And around turn number 9, Aston still struggling to make up any time, but is keeping pace. Nice job from Fitzpatrick. And that's what it looks like from our driver's point of view here. You can see, they see the apex. Ooh, big hop from Fitzpatrick there as he crossed over the apex. That lost him a little bit of time. Junior starting to pull away from him. And Huesca going to be challenging him down the outside. Ferrari pulls alongside, can't quite get it done. Fitzpatrick does a nice job of keeping it on the line. Runs wide on the exit. Huesca can't capitalize. Huesca might be passed by Sosa here. Sosa getting a run on the Ferrari. Both trying to catch up to Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick is going to be thanking his lucky stars that went over as poor as it did for Huesca. He could have been easily passed by both Huesca and Sosa. But Fitzpatrick currently in a position to score a decent number of points for the race tonight. Another battle going on or tight battle going on for 10th here. Marsh has now taken over the lead of the pack, the midfield pack from Ruiz. Not too much time. As you can see, they're all pretty close packed together. We've got Marsh, then we've got Ruiz, then we've got McLeod, and Warren and Moriarty behind him. Warren and Roderick behind him. Go down here. McLeod is pretty safely in his position at the moment. Don't want to go all the way down to Upton. Here we go. Right in the mid pack here, we've got the GTR of Luis Guedes at the moment, but battling with Debon and holding off position from Moriarty. Behind him, we've got Trulli, and Vervoort is looking to get himself a piece of the action as well. Walker, Upton, and Roderick doing their best to pull away from this pack, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. We've got quite a few drivers all packed up in the top. Let's see. Oh, that's fourth now. There we go.
Ruiz
Seventh.
and McLeod very close to Marsh.
There it is. So Ruiz is going to try and take that position back from Marsh with McLeod following up behind him. And Warren at the moment. Both drivers driving as fast as they can with the Lamborghini, which is going to be struggling a little bit around here. Ferrari, as you can see, kind of, the suspects we were expecting. The Merc of Junior is starting to pull away from this pack a little bit, partially because he can get around those corners that much easier because he doesn't have to worry about the high curbs and problems that some of the other lower cars do. McLeod is going to pull around the inside of Ruiz, going to try and get this pass done. Can't quite get it done, but he's not going to give up just that easily. Bear with me here. There we go. Got our drivers back up on screen. There we go. Now we've got some of the names popping up. This is going to be a lot easier. Perfect. Race director is now working correctly. So we've got Marsh, McLeod, and Warren all still going at it.
Get on the action behind Ruiz as well, alongside McLeod.
Yeah, Warren just getting up on that grass ever so slightly. Not able to get the pass quite done, but actually getting pretty close, as it were. Let's see. So Warren still behind McLeod. I think we're going to see this gap of four drivers or so these four drivers start to form a gap to the rest of the drivers behind them. Let's see. We've got Roderick going to challenge Walker. Walker with Ruiz. Looks like we've got an incident. Let's see if that was Hitchcock. A little bit of contact. Let's go ahead and see if this is going to work for me. Nope, can't quite get that done. That was a mistake. Going to try to show the replay, but it's going to just hold me where we're at the moment. Let's go ahead. Try and minimize that if we can. Perfect. There we go. Let's see if this shows me what we want. Oh, a little bit of contact with Hitchcock and Pugh there. Then Banfield. Hitchcock running wide. Now in the pits. You can see that was a replay. That's what happened with him there. He's going to have to go into the pits, maybe repair a little bit of damage. There is one mandatory pit stop per race here. Hitchcock parked in the pits right now. Not overly happy with that extra contact.
Somebody went off.
Got Macaulay racing all on his own. Let's join in with Fitzpatrick here. Fitzpatrick not too close to anyone as well. Huesca and Sosa going to be looking to make a battle of it here as the rain starts to fall here at Imola. Going around the second to last track, turn number 18. There you can see there is the strength of that Mercedes. He was able to just keep it that much more tucked. However, the Ferrari is going to try and make a run for it down the main straight here. Mercedes has the advantage on the corners, but the Ferrari is going to have that straight line speed and is going to be planted to the ground. Huesca doing as much as he can to catch Sosa, but only working so well so far. Both of them trying to track down Fitzpatrick in 6th, who's already 5.6 seconds ahead of the drivers on screen. Moving back to the midfield, we got Guedes bringing up the back of a very exciting battle between some of our drivers here. Let's see, we've got Guedes on screen right now. Now we've got Cross and Marsh looking to battle for it as well. Cross can't quite get it done, goes into the runoff area, gets passed by Upton. Upton goes around him. Next, we're going to get the Nissan of Guedes goes down the inside of Cross. Did I read that right? No. We got the there we go. Bentley of Upton there at the bottom of your screen. The black, white, and green livery in the middle. The red, white, and black you're going to see is Cross. Cross, ooh, getting right up on the back of that Bentley. He's got the traction on the road seemingly for now. Guedes can't find a opening either. Sean Moriarty down in the Ferrari, down in 18th right now, running a little bit of a race of his own. As you can see, there are a couple other cars close to him. We've got Roderick and Vervoort both trying to catch up to him. Coffin another 2 or 3 seconds down the road yet. Going to be trying to catch up to them as well. So you can see, take a look at the track map. We've got a nice cluster of our midfield teams and even a nice battle going on for the lower positions as well. Let's go ahead and go down to 35th with Horowitz here, trying to make up time. Looks like he's already made his pits. Nagy having troubles as well. Up to Griggs in 33. He's getting ready to make the pass on Bethel. There we go. That's a new one to me. Griggs, nice looking livery for that Bentley there. Is going to go ahead and get a run on Bethel here. At least he's going to try in that ever so powerful Bentley here. Going to be down on the main straights. Bentley being known for its excellent fuel efficiency. You can go 90 minutes on certain tracks without having to refuel. Of course, there is a mandatory mandatory pit stop today. That's up to the drivers on whether they want to take fuel and tires or just tires. Be expecting for that to come into play as we approach the hour 12-minute mark here left in the race. Mason Griggs for Railway Racing here. Let's go ahead and check in with 28th right now. There we go. We got Kukowski behind Martin, but he leads Portis. Martin down the inside of Pugh is going to try and get that position done. Martin gets the pass done on Pugh. Very nice job from him there. Oh, runs wide, Martin does. Gives all those positions back. Kukowski and Portis now get by Martin. Not sure if there was contact there. Haven't seen any on the race director recently, so drivers are keeping it pretty clean out here today. So myself, I'm pretty new to GT racing, but it's not quite like Formula One where you have all sorts of delicate components that are ready to fly off the car at a moment's notice. These cars are a little bit more robust, built with a little bit more elbow grease and glue, so they're a little bit more used to that bumping and grinding. Of course, that does not give our drivers the right to run another driver off the road. There will be penalty points for anyone that tries to do that. However, GT drivers no stranger to getting their doors together. We got Pugh dropping back points now. Let's Portis, Martin, and Kikowski through. Right now, Portis is looking to get the run done on Kikowski in that Bentley. That Honda NSX, not known for its particularly high ride height, going to be struggling with some of the tracks here today. Fuel load has a high impact on the balance of the Honda right now. So as you can tell, as he's coming around with a lot more fuel in his car right now, even if he decides to split the remaining time in half, it looks like he's got about 30, maybe 45 or 40 minutes or so worth of fuel. That's going to affect the balance of that car, which could be part of the reason that he's having trouble getting it correct in the exits there. You can see the Mercedes is trying to get a run on him. Runs a little bit wide in that Honda, but able to get the power down, so he's not terribly worried about it. Actually putting a gap on the Mercedes at the moment, which is what you have to do, because the Mercedes is going to eat up the time right through this corner here. Expect him, see him get close to the end of that car. Portis now going to try for Kikowski. Can't quite get it done. Kikowski with a little bit of a recovery there on a mistake he made. Not going to affect him a lot, but Martin is gearing up for the pass on Portis. Martin pulls alongside. Portis squeezes him to the inside, but nothing unfair. Is going to keep him around the outside into turn number 1 here. Martin later on the brakes, gets the pass done, gets past Portis, but does cut corners. Portis keeps the position. Martin falls back. Pugh is actually going to give a challenge for Martin now. Pugh goes around the outside, or excuse me, down the inside just before the turn, gets the right to the racing line, no problem. That Mercedes, you can see though, taking lunges towards the other car on the exit, not having to slow down nearly as much for the ride height, the huge advantage of the ride height that the Mercedes has. So running down our car list here, there's a few different cars you're going to see in today's race. We got the Aston Martin Vantage V8 GT3. Of course, you got the Bentley Continental, the BMW M6, Ferrari 488, Honda NSX, the Lamborghini Huracan, Lexus RCF, McLaren 720S, the Mercedes AMG, and the Nissan GTR. Of course, all of those are GT3 modified cars. These aren't ones that you can just walk up to your local Lamborghini dealer, Aston Martin dealer, what have you, and buy one of these cars. These are highly race-tuned, specialized cars, and therefore they're going to have things on them that help them a lot more than your average car. That being said, like the cars that these are modeled after, each one has their own strengths and weaknesses, and expect to see those throughout the race today. Looks like our group of Kikowski, Portis, Pugh, and Martin are starting to spread out just a little bit, so maybe time to go up the grid ever so slightly. Let's get some eyes on a battle that's going on right now with P19 of Coffin, Moriarty, and Vervoort are 19th, 20th, and 21st respectively. They're going to try and catch up to Coffin, but not if they can. Vervoort looking like he's closing on the gap on Moriarty ever so slightly. Moriarty going around turn number 7 at the moment. He's going to go down the main straight. Is going to try and pass up the hill. Let's see if that gets done here. You can see Moriarty just following the rear end of Coffin there. Trying to follow him through the apexes, has to stay a little bit wider as to not get as much curb as Coffin does, but not too bad. Still gets a pretty good exit on the corner there. Stays off the curb as much as he can in that Ferrari. Definitely doesn't have the ground clearance to be doing anything too crazy. The BMW on Vervoort, it has the advantage on the corners, but Moriarty taking the straights as a time to put in as much of a gap as he possibly can. Vervoort following Moriarty, inching closer down as we get closer. Let's see, what turn is that? It's going to be turn number 18. Then around to 19. It's going to be a pretty flat go down the main straight here. Let's go ahead, take a look at that. Yeah, not too much elevation change there. the track goes uphill twice and downhill twice. What I mean by that is let's go ahead and follow along with Moriarty here. I wish the onboard camera was slightly better. Not necessarily what I like to see. There we go, going around the chicane. That is turn number 2 and turn number 3. Turn number 4 is that short jaunt to the left you just saw. Now turn number 5, you're going to start to see a little bit of an uphill climb. You're not going to see it really kick in, so you're on turn number 6 there. You're not going to see it really kick in until he rounds the crest of turn number 7 here. So he rounds turn number 7, and as you come out on the apex, you can see you're pretty much looking straight up a hill there. It goes uphill, flattens out ever so slightly, but then the real uphill climb happens up to turn number 9 here. Turn number 9 is effectively at the top of the hill. We're going to crest across the apex. We're going to go down ever so slightly. Keep it to the inside. You can tell right at the bottom of turn number 11 and 12, the track is going to start to pick itself back up. Another partially uphill climb until we get to right around turn number 14, which is a hard right-hander. And then we're going to start a slow decline back around to the main straight here. Turn number 14, all of our drivers keeping it really tidy. I haven't seen any contact from the race directors as of recent. Currently, best lap of the session is a 1 minute 45.759. Let's look at the rest of our timetables here. Vanderkelt is total time out in front right now. 24 minutes 43 seconds race so far. 2 tenths behind him is Pride. 5 seconds behind him is Barrier. Then Clements, McCauley, Fitzpatrick, Sosa, Huesca, Ruiz, Walker, Warren, Upton, McLeod, Cross, Guedes, DeBond, Marsh, Roderick, Coffin, Moriarty, Vervoort, Truly, Weller, Newman, Bainfield, Gakowski, Portis II, Pugh, Constantine, Wood, Belthel, Griggs Jr., Nagy, Horowitz, Martin, and Hanna down at the bottom. Let's get that to go away here. There we go. Back to our racing action. Take a look at the track map. Our drivers are starting to space out relatively evenly, following around with Moriarty now. Let's go ahead and catch up with our race leader, Kekelt. He is currently leading Cody Pride by about 1.8 seconds. Not terribly unhappy with that, as I imagine. As you can see, he's coming down just the main straight. The nice flat portion of the track, not having to deal with the uphill or downhill currently. For those of you confused as to what's going on here, go ahead and take a look at the top right. Right now, we're following along with Kekelt. On the left, you can see Kekelt is in first, Pride in second, Barrier is third. Then you can see 33 is Junior. What that means is Junior on track is currently caught between Barrier and Clements, but he is a back marker, hence his name is blue, and the position he is in is 33rd. Now, go ahead and direct your attention to the right of those numbers to the right of the name on the screen. You see the symbol of the type of the car they're driving. Kekelt is currently in the Mercedes AMG GT3, Pride in the BMW, Barrier in that Lexus, Clements in the Aston Martin, McCauley in the Honda, Nagy in the McLaren, etc., etc. To the right of that, you have their race number. Kekelt is 47, Pride 33, Barrier 15, Junior 10th, Clements 18th, McCauley 7, Nagy 11 there. And to the right of that, even still, that is the number of pits that the drivers have left. So we see that Hanna and Junior both have pitted already. Looks like they probably refilled with a little bit of gas, possibly new tires, so they're going to try and get them through the rest of the race here. Clements racing a pretty nice race on his own so far. We've got the Aston Martin trundling away 2.9 seconds behind him. We have the Honda of McCauley going to be trying to close that gap as much as he possibly can. Looking for some of my race notes at the moment. There we go. Let's go ahead and check in quickly with Horowitz. Horowitz races on races in Moto America here at PPR. We're very happy to have him here on our grid. Currently looks like maybe bringing up the back, but as you can see, still yet to pit. Just getting a handle for the conditions here in the rain. The digital world is a lot more difficult to handle. A lot more difficult to adjust to. For a driver like this that has been in the actual car. I'm sure racing at home on a screen with a wheel and pedals even is nothing like the actual forces that you feel. So getting a good handle on the car right now. Looks like he's running pretty clean apexes. He just needs to find enough of them in a row that he can hook them together and start working his way back up through the field. 26 right now. We've got Kakowski being closely followed by Portis. Just in front of them, we've got Cross bringing up the back of a pack that is fighting for position at the moment. Let's see if we can get better view on this. There we have, all in a line, we've got Banfield, Portis, Kakowski, Weller, Martin, and Pugh. Martin, of course, is the back marker, looking to create a gap between himself and the driver next behind him, which is Hannah. Pugh caught between the middle of the two of them at the moment. All drivers seemed to be positioned pretty well. Now, this track is one of the ones where it is extremely tricky to get the tire conditions and the grip right. And as you may notice, there is rain falling out of the sky. So that is something that our drivers are having to contend with here on a track that is already known for being slippery. So one of the things that Imola has done recently and is being simulated into this game is the slickness of this track. Since it was resurfaced relatively recently, there's a lot of oil, a lot of grease on this track. That has been put into the game by the creators of ACC. Nice touch by them. Oh, Portis is getting ready to make a move on Banfield here. Can't quite get it done. Running around turn number 13 right now. It's going to go down a little bit of a straight. Going to give Banfield a run down into turn number 14, which is a sharp, excuse me, actually no, they're going into turn number 14 here, then around turn number 15. Banfield getting past Portis, so it's Banfield, Portis, Kakowski, currently the running order at the moment. Portis getting closed on by Kakowski, though all three of these drivers very close at the moment. We got Portis right now trying to both attack Banfield and defend from Kakowski. Not something that's particularly easy to do, especially when you're talking about rain like this. Best lap for Portis is a 1 minute 45.6. Last lap was a 1 minute 45.7. Might be a sign that the track is getting a little bit slower. Might be that he made a bit of a mistake last race. Currently contact free for the last 10 minutes or so. 50, as we reach the 58-minute mark. That's 58 minutes left in the session. Couple yellow flags resolved relatively quickly. We've got Martin in 36, Hannah in 37. Both have pitted already. Other than that, as you can see, any driver with the orange number 1 next to their name in the top left hand has yet to make a pit stop. That are the number of pit stops they have left to make before the end of the race. So now we've got a battle right now going on between Banfield in the Ferrari, Portis in the Honda, and Kakowski in the Bentley. Let's go ahead and start with that Ferrari. They do not have a ton of ground clearance. So that's the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. It's very good aero efficiency. It has high understeer on high-speed corners. And it's got very good tire wear. Aero balance is around 1 to 2%. Rear ride height does not change the aero balance very much of your Ferrari. So don't be expecting to see that have a huge effect. Soft front bump stops can help high speed understeer. So some drivers may have been able to figure out those Ferraris. Let's go ahead and move on to the Honda NSX. That's the GT3. Fuel load has a high impact on the balance of a car like this, so be expecting to see this change throughout the race and the entry and exit points for our drivers to change as they burn through some of their race fuel. Now, a lot of it depends on the strategy of the driver. If the driver has full race fuel in the car right now, by the time we get to the end of the race, you're going to see them with a much lighter car. Coincidentally, you'd like to see putting in faster lap times as well as handling that balance a little bit better. Portis gets passed down on Banfield. Banfield with a little bit of a mistake opening the door for Portis. He just slips right through, and looks like that's going to be it. Kakowski getting the run down on Banfield as well. Kakowski goes down the middle. Banfield gets ahead. Oh, a little bit of a bump between there. Let's go ahead and go back down here. Wow, nice close racing between our drivers there. Weller backed off ever so slightly, or Weller got in there. Actually took advantage of that. Kukowski falling all the way back to 27th. After that little bit of a touch there, I think Kukowski probably didn't want to overtake Banfield there after he touched him, but Weller is free to muscle his way in there. Banfield running wide in the Ferrari. Weller is going to get a pass. The Bentley of Kukowski bringing up the back in the 3-year. You can see that Ferrari struggling with those curbs. Maybe took a little bit too much on the last turn, number 15 there, as they go down the straight around turn number 16 to turn number 17, down into 18 and 19. Hard on the brakes. Weller closing the gap ever so slightly in that Bentley. Can't quite get that done. Ferrari puts the gap back on the Bentley. Looks like we've got several drivers in the pits. Martin in the pits right now. Truly in the pits. Moriarty and Roderick all in the pits at the moment. Let's take a look at our pit lane, see just how busy it is for our drivers at the moment. That's not happening. All right, Banfield and Kukowski still battling it out. Kukowski looking for any of help that he can get here. Purchase from the towers. That Bentley is all over him at the moment, though. All it would take is one mistake from
Currently
Banfield.
4 cars in the pit lane.
Clements in 4th, running a nice race in his Aston Martin. Right now, Joe McCauley falling just right behind him. John Clements racing very well for Podium Sim Racing here. ACC Aston GT3 is currently what he is driving in at the moment. Nice green and black livery from him as he comes over the crest of the hill here. McCauley falling just right behind him. Clements coming around turn number 11 here. Excuse me, that was the exit, was turn number 13 there. It's going to go down the straight to turn number 14. It's going to be a hard right-hander. It's going to be one of the spots that McCauley wants to look at to possibly make this pass, but he's nowhere near close enough yet. So right now, all McCauley wants to do is try and close that gap on Clements, see if he can't find some purchase. There we go. Clements pretty much running a race of his own at the moment. McCauley's 2.2 seconds behind him or so at the split. Gonna have to make that up and be watching out for that. Fitzpatrick, best lap with a 144.2. Excuse me, 0.25 with our fastest lap of the session. Currently, Fitzpatrick holds that. Very nice from him so far. Hopefully those lap times are going to be getting faster and faster as our drivers dump that race fuel into the engine, burn it, and get further down the road. Nice midfield battle going on with the middle of the pack here. So we have a lot of drivers all right in a row here. We got Marsh, Cross, Nagy, as well as McLeod. Nagy, back marker, being passed by McLeod. We got a couple drivers in the pits of Walker and Martin. Walker deciding to take his pit at the moment. Going to see what that does for him. If it might be premature, but we will see. 20 degrees Celsius right now on the track. 10% of rain and 10% wet. So a little bit wet, but not nearly what it could be. Rain just sprinkling down out there. For those of you unaware, drivers running across the racing line of a track that is mostly damp is going to dry it out very, very quickly. Expect the cars to see a lot of purchase on this track, even though there is rain. What you're going to have to watch out for is when our drivers get off of the racing line, they're going to get into those parts of the track where there's 1, debris, and 2, more water. So they're going to be losing traction from a number of places. It's also going to take some of that tire temperature out of their tires. They need those at the optimum temp in order to be able to race around this track with the optimal grip on their tires. So the hotter your tires are, generally the more grip you have, unless you go over that threshold. Let's say you spin, turn sideways, maybe you get a lot of oversteer and have to spin the back tires a little bit. That's going to introduce a lot of heat, much more heat than was intended. So at that point, you're going to blister your tires. You might get some graining on them, and then the grip is just going to fall off consistently from there. It's going to fall off a cliff and then continue to fall. So you might have to pit if that happens. Riding along with Daryl Upton right now in the Bentley. Nice green, black, and white livery from him there. Currently in front of Marsh by 2.8 seconds. Marsh in that Ferrari is going to try and close that gap. Let's go ahead and check in with our race leader, Kokelt. Running out in front just fine. No one to bother him at the moment. Closest driver to him is Pugh, and Pugh into the pits. Next is going to be Pride. Pride stays out, it looks like. Yeah, Pride stays out. So Pride will now be behind Kokelt and can get a chance to chase him down. A lot of our drivers starting to pit now. Be looking for them to pit relatively soon. Let's see, we're coming up on the halfway mark. 90 minutes, race 45 minutes is going to be the halfway. And at that point, I think we'll see a lot more drivers start to pit. Change for those tires. Get a fresh set of rubber on there to maintain the traction, especially if they're expecting it to rain even harder here. As of right now, I'm not seeing anything on the radar that would suggest this is going to get much worse. So an extra set of tires would just be for the pure grip that gets lost as the tires are driven around the track. The tread starts to wear off. Sometimes they become slicks, and if they do, you're going to have a hard time evacuating water, and you're going to lose a lot of grip. Let's go ahead and look back at an incident from Marsh here. Let's see if this go ahead and work. It's going to pause a little bit as it starts to think about it. Let's go ahead and take a look at Marsh here. Watch this replay with a little bit of contact, looks like, from Debon. There we go. Marsh and Truly, this is a replay. A few laps ago, Truly and Marsh going at it. Oh, Truly gets bumped. Goes to the infield. Bounces off the wall. Very unfortunate from him there. Marsh currently in the pits, looking like he's getting fuel and possibly tires, sitting right behind Martin there, who's possibly doing the same. Moving on. Looks like it's trying to come back at the moment. All right, unfortunately frozen. There we go. Now we're back at it. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get the correct layover. Nope. Nice. There we go. That was more difficult than it should have been. Marsh into the pits right now, taking his mandatory pit stop. When you go on board these cars, you can see just how fast a lap looks from inside a car like this. Drivers struggling. Look at the steering wheel movement from Marsh. Running wide on the exit just a little bit. Had to stay off the power. Couldn't have gotten on it quite as much as I think he would have wanted, but still pretty clean corner exit there. Runs a little wide. Again, he's in one of those cars that just doesn't have the ground clearance to be taking too much curb. But as of right now, seems to be okay. Currently followed relatively closely by Warren, Ruiz, and Huesca, who are going to be battling for the third place position at the sixth place position at the moment. Go ahead and ride along with Warren here. Warren just behind Marsh. Marsh is a back marker. He's got to get out of the way. You can see he's going to. Again, this is one of the things that makes this track tough, or at least these conditions tough for our drivers. You can see any of the drivers with the name in blue in the top left are going to have to let the car behind them pass if they're on the lead lap. Part of what that means is getting out of the way and getting off the racing line. As we've discussed, getting off that racing line is going to take the heat out of your tires, and it's going to give you a lot of debris on there that you're necessarily not going to want either. So it's tricky for the back markers to get out of the way in a way that's not going to completely kill their tires. So right now it looks like we've got some points shuffling going on, some position shuffling going on towards the back of the grid. Let's check in. Nope, we've got Martin and Nagy both parked in the pits. Not looking to come out anytime soon, I don't believe. Riding on board with Sosa here, getting some weird clipping graphics issues. It shouldn't be anything too bad. There you go. You can see there's the Mercedes and the extra ride height we've been talking about. The drivers just take a lot of liberties on those corners when you have that much ride height. Watch him as he comes in. Very aggressive angle of attack on that corner because he can take just that much more curb than the cars like, let's say, the Ferrari can. So the BMW, the Mercedes, as well as, oh, where do my notes go here? There we go. The BMW, the Mercedes, and the Aston, all cars that can take a relatively large amount of advantage from these tracks. From the sausage curbs. Looks like we've got Ruiz and Huesca going right now. Huesca pulls around the outside. Is gonna try it down the inside. Can't quite get it done. As they exit turn number 15, they're gonna go down the main straight here. Go down a straight here with a small dog leg of turn number 16, and then a dog leg to the right of turn number 17. Gonna get around the corner 18, 19. Huesca in that Ferrari is going to be gaining time ever so slightly. It looks like he may have had a slight mistake, just a snap of oversteer on the exit. Huesca decides that he's had enough. Following, Ruiz is going to dive in the pits for his pit stop. So now Ruiz is on to finish out his strategy. Best lap from Ruiz is 1 minute 45.5 as Ruiz just gets past Upton on the pit exit there. Best lap total is a 1 minute 45.546. No, that is going to be the driver I'm currently on. Session best, can't see it. Don't have one right now. Unfortunate. Three drivers here, only one on the lead lap. We've got Ruiz running a pretty nice race. Let's go ahead and compare where he's at to our race leader right now, Joe McCauley. So our provisional leader, Krakowski, has pitted, and he's now in 10th place. McCauley, looks like he's coming out of the pit. He just dove into the pit, so he's going to go ahead and give up the race lead, possibly to, let's see, where second place starts to come. So McCauley right now, no one in his rear view. How long this pit stop takes depends on how long, or what he decides to have done. If he's going to get tires and fuel, it's going to take a lot longer than if he just decides to do one. So he's parked there, waiting for second place to come up here. Can't quite see a couple drivers parked in the pits here, getting their cars worked on at the moment. Let's go ahead and go over to Warren. Warren currently in second place. He goes into the pits. Kalkelt is going to take over provisional race lead then. As he passes McCauley in the pits, Kalkelt is still way out in front, doing a very nice job of running a clean race today. Gets a little bit into the wet parts of the track. Certainly not ideal. Kalkelt running a very nice race. You can see him a nice battle between Upton and Cross going on behind him. Let's go ahead and focus in on that for the minute. There we go. Upton on the lead lap along with Cross right now. Sosa ahead of them. Actually, ahead of them in position. So Sosa looking to pass Upton and Cross to possibly get to Van de Kokelt. Ooh, Upton has to cut the chicane quite severely. Only a few times. I think you get 3 chances to do that before you're given a drive-through penalty. So quite significant. That's a 70-second time delta to drive through the pits. So quite severe punishment for those drivers deciding to leave the track. They can take a couple liberties, maybe leave the track once or twice during the race, but that third time they get hit with a drive-through, which can absolutely mess up your race. We've seen how long the pit stops are here. Pride takes over second position because he has pitted. Then Barrier in third currently. Upton and Cross still looking to jockey for position. Ooh, Cross getting a nice run out of that. Might have cooked it a little wide at the exit of that last turn there. Gets it done. There we go. Cross is going to go ahead and cross Upton down. Or excuse me, chase Upton down. Coffin right now running a very fast lap, starting to put time between himself and Portis. Is running about 0.6 up on his fastest time at the moment. Very nice lap from him so far. See if he can keep that up. He may just set a new fastest lap for the race. P24 of Newman, 3.1 seconds behind him. We've got Moriarty. Nagy currently leading up the back of the pack at the moment. Ahead of him, we've got Pugh in 32nd. Wow, really far fall from Pugh. He was fighting in the position of the low teens. After that, a PLY. Looks like he might have a penalty coming his way. See, I can't necessarily tell what that would have been, but I'm assuming PLY in the top right corner of his windshield there probably doesn't mean good news. Clements in 5th, trying to chase down McCauley in 4th. back up. There we go. Now we got some of the controls back. Perfect. Let's go ahead and look at the timetable. We got Cookelt out in front with Barrier behind him, then Pride, then Macaulay, Clemens, Fitzpatrick, Ruiz Jr., Bethel, Huesca, Warren, Sosa, Vervoort, Deban, Coffin, Portis, Marsh, McLeod, Upton, Cross, Truly, Kakowski, Newman, Moriarty, Constantin, Weller, Banfield, Woodfield, Horowitz, Walker, Pugh, and Griggs. And bringing up the back is Nagy. Going ahead and following along with Clements at the moment. Dimitri, what are your thoughts on how well the race has progressed so far? Can't hear him at the moment. Looks like there was a little contact recently between Pugh and Kakowski. Let's go ahead and see if we can't watch that quick. See maybe what led up to that. Pugh right now running in running in 31st position. This could have had something to deal with it, because after this, if you need repairs to the car, more fuel, or even different tires, that can take a lot of time out of our racer's race here. Got Pugh coming around the exit, getting just down the inside of Kakowski. Oh, they touch. Kakowski goes around. Pugh right now looks like he's got a penalty for that one. That was quite the touch on him there. Pugh right now, as you can see, in 31st with that penalty. Stewards are going to be having to look at that after the race to determine exactly what that means, but I'm sure they are going to frown on that move there. It did get close. I couldn't necessarily say that that was Pugh's fault, so the stewards are going to have to sort that one out. TrackMan, here you can see our drivers are spacing out pretty nicely. You can't necessarily tell exactly where everyone's on track. Those are their numbers, not their position at the moment, but already going pretty well. So as you can see, kind of what we expected from some of our drivers here. Looks like we got Huesca coming up the back of Junior here. Or no, Junior challenging Ruiz in the Lamborghini. Look at the onboard. You can see him just behind him. He's going to be trying and closing that gap. The Mercedes has the advantage on a track like this due to the ride height of such a car. So with the ride height being so large, you can go over some of these curbs. Watch the different lines that they take here. The AMG, the Mercedes, goes right through. You gotta be kidding me. All right, riding along with Junior at the moment. Let's see, camera's going to be stuck like that just for a minute here. Nope, not working. All right, lost access to the camera controls right now, but at least we've got a nice battle going on right now with Junior and Ruiz. Junior trying to catch up to the back. Ruiz desperately can't quite get it done. Alright, let's see what we got here. We got limited camera views for the rest of the race here, it's going to look like. I can't quite get, yeah, basically any of that done. Alright, so these are some camera views as well. Looks like if we can park it in one, that should be the one. Ah. There we go, that's it. There we go. Alright, let's see. That's not what I wanted. Let's go ahead and try and get that to display correctly. Let's get this out of here. Right along with Junior right now, still battling with Ruiz. Shout out to PPR Nick in the comments. Feel the pain of Kermit right now. Yeah, the ACC director trying to commentate apparently on your own. I'm not quite sure where Dimitri went. Run the stream and figure out the race controls all at the same time can be quite a bit. It's kind of annoying, actually. See what we got here. Oh my god, did I change? Nope. Not here. Okay. Junior following Ruiz at the moment. Let's try to get our camera controls back up here. Yep, nope, that doesn't do me any good. All right. Okay. So we've got some control over this now. Let's see. All right. I think that's what we want. Okay. So we're going to have to be hopping around one by one. But we don't have to worry too much about that. All right. So Van de Kockelt is currently leading the race by quite a bit. 15.5 seconds separates himself and second place of Barrier, who we're riding along with now in the Lexus. Currently 27 minutes and 26 seconds on the clock left to go as we're entering the closing stages of this race. Be watching for any driver that hasn't pitted yet to pit. Right now, all I can see is Horowitz. He's the only one that has left to pit as far as I can tell. At the moment. If I could, yeah, go around with different setups and things like that, I might be able to tell you exactly how many people have left to pit. Currently, cannot do that. Ververt following Belthy right now. Sosa trying to keep that gap consistent between himself and Vervort behind him. Sosa gets past Nagy. Nagy gets out of the way for him, as he is a back marker. James Warren doing well so far, staying in 10th with that old Apple-themed livery. I love that one. Behind him, we've got Sosa, not extremely far away. So there we go. As you can see, riding on board right now with Sosa, trying to catch up to Jay Warren. Takes a lot of angle on those curves. Is able to keep the car pretty settled. That extra ride height that the Mercedes has really helps him get around these curves. Some of the curves are pretty large. You can see the racing line staying relatively dry for our drivers tonight, but the back markers are the ones that we're going to be concerned about. So the racing line itself has a lot of grip on it. As you can see off to the right and to the left where the track gets darker, there's going to be a little bit more standing water and coincidentally debris. You put your tire over there too much, it's going to cool your tire off and you're going to pick up a lot of extra rubber marbles. Nothing that either or any of our drivers on the grid tonight want. So they're going to be trying to keep it on the racing line as much as possible, but if they have to make a pass, they're going to have to dip their wheel into the wet portions of the track, and it's just not going to work. Into the braking zone, you can see there's a decent buildup of rubber, which is pretty good on the racing line, but off the racing line, it tends to make it pretty sticky. Sosa closing that gap between Warren, now only half a second behind him. I think he's going to get the pass done here just about any time now. Riding on board with the first-person view, this is what it looks like from Sosa's point of view at the moment. You can just see the back of Warren and can see himself getting ever so slightly closer. Just hasn't been able to close that gap all the way. Oh, runs wide there, Sosa. He's going to have to come back in the track. Nice shallow angle of attack on the way back, but that looks like it's going to give Jay Warren a little bit of time to get some distance between himself and Sosa. Sosa, after losing all that time, is now going to try and make it up with 23 minutes and 45 seconds left to go. Moving further up the field here, we've got Junior right now with Ruiz in front of him and Warren behind him. This is going to be one to keep your eye on. I don't even know how I did that. Oh, if I just click. Okay, back to broadcasting view. There we go. All right, nice enough. All right, Junior here you can see is going to try and get a run on Ruiz. Junior being in that Mercedes, able to take those corners quite a bit more aggressively, but Ruiz is going to be trying to put on time in the main straights here. Lots of drama for Junior there in the braking zone. Tires may be a little bit cold, but he certainly doesn't have grip on them. Had to back out of it ever so slightly as the gap between Ruiz is now going to increase. Over to Warren, still behind Junior. You get a good view of Junior and Ruiz out the front of his windshield here. He's going to be trying to catch up to both of them. Warren's got to be able to keep his head on straight and finish the rest of the race. We've got 22 minutes and 46 seconds left. Warren to try and close that gap. Can't quite get it done. Scott Jr. behind him. Only about 1.3 seconds or so. Ooh, 0.7 seconds as they cross the line. So Junior might be able to make up some time on Warren here. That works, I guess. Let's see here. There we go. All right, we're going to stick with, I think, helicopter view for the rest of the race here. Race controls aren't quite working as well as they could be, or really at all. So, you know, there's only so much we can do. Junior is going to get the pass done right now on Kokelt. Kokelt deciding he doesn't quite need as much pace at the moment. Actually, Kokelt might have just passed, or might have just passed Junior. I don't think so. I don't think that's right. Well, yeah, so Sosa's out in front in that Mercedes AMG just behind Warren. Junior is going to try and put himself in that battle as well. Neither driver has too large of a gap between them. Should hopefully get some good racing in. Junior coming down the main straight. 19 minutes now left to go. We are under 20 minutes left to go in the race tonight. Huesca looking to make up some time on the grid in front of him, which is Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick nowhere near Clements at the moment. Over 7 seconds away. He's going to have to do about half a second per lap if he's able to... if he's going to be able to close the gap between himself and Clements. Clements here 1.1 seconds behind Truly, who's let's see, Banfield in the pits, going to pass him. Truly not in the pits, though. 6.1 seconds up the road to McCauley, the next position. Looks like Clements is going to try and get past Truly here. Hopefully no problem. Clements gets the run on him, gets it done. But now an interesting battle shaping up between Truly and Newman right now. Newman closing the gap to Truly very, very quickly. Now only 4/10 behind, seeming to gain some time on just about every corner now. Truly taking that corner very nicely. The Lambo having the cornering speed. Ooh, gets off the racing line a little bit. That's going to make those tires cold, and it's going to make them wet. Looks like Newman stayed pretty much on the racing line, but doesn't really have too much of an advantage. Truly took his time getting off the exit of that corner, but now Newman is just right up his gearbox, and it looks like it's going to stay that way until he can get a run on him. Going down turn number 17 now. A slight jaunt to the right. Truly defending against Newman. Newman looking for his opening here, trying to stay as much on the racing line as possible, getting all the traction he possibly can out of those tires. Nope, can't quite get that working again, unfortunately. Moriarty has fallen off from Truly at the moment. Uptown, Truly, Moriarty, then Cross. Your running order from 18th to 21st at the moment. Let's go ahead and shift up our field here. Let's go check in with Pride and Barrier. Pride, 7.4 seconds down the road from Barrier, looking like he's catching up by a couple of seconds every few turns there. Down the straight lines, Pride is able to get that time down. It looks like 7.2. Then he has to brake, go around some of these corners. Keeping it relatively consistent. So 7 seconds separate Pride and Barrier with about 14 minutes left. They're going to have to make up roughly half a second per lap. There we go. That's what we're looking for. See Barrier up the road yet? Let's go take a look. See if we can't find a couple of closer battles, as it were. Right now, we've got the 10th place battle between Ruiz, Jr., and Vervoort, the 3 drivers that you see on the screen. Ruiz just disappeared off to the left. Next, we've got Jr. and Vervoort. Both going to try and close that gap before the end of the race here. Junior doing a decent job at it, and that Mercedes is going to be able to take those corners a lot more aggressively than Ruiz is. But Ruiz has that straight line speed and the high speed cornering to get him through some of the the more high speed turns here on this course. Got about 12 minutes and 22 seconds left in the race. Getting past him. Looks like we've got Vervoort getting the pass done on Junior. Dave Jr. not able to keep it quite together. I wonder if his tires are just at that point where it's about time for them to give up. Vervoort is now going to go try and track down Ruiz, who's 2.5 seconds ahead of him. We've got Cookelt right now way out in race lead, 30 seconds ahead of the next challenger, which is Barrier, in second. Moving on, let's go to Sosa and Warren here. Sosa in the red. No, that is Cookelt. Sosa in the green and black Mercedes, you can see just off the bottom of the screen, is going to be trying and chasing down Jay Warren here. They have the race leader Cookelt mixed throughout there. He's technically, let's see, closing the gap ever so slightly. 1.8 seconds separate Warren and Sosa at the moment. Cookelt 1.3 seconds behind Warren. Warren increasing the gap to Sosa to roughly 2 seconds. If he's able to do that for the next 10 minutes, I think he's going to be able to take home the 8th place position. Easier said than done. So he may just have to figure something out. Let's take a tour around to the rest of our field here. We've got Pugh with Griggs 3 seconds behind. Horowitz kind of out in a area of his own at the moment. Constantine not super close to Weller. Weller just 9 seconds down the road from him. We got Truly 7 seconds behind Nagy, who is behind Moriarty. Now we got 1.3 seconds separating Cross and Moriarty at the moment. Cross being in the Lamborghini and Moriarty being in the Ferrari. Neither of those cars extremely stellar for this track and the curbs that it brings with it. So it should be a pretty close battle between our two drivers at this point. So you can see riding along with Cross from the helmet cam. You can see, drivers can see that dry part of the track as it is. They're having more and more trouble, I think, keeping track of it as it starts to get lighter and or the rain starts to come down a little heavier. For the most part, it's remained pretty consistent. Looks like 30 minutes from now or so, it's going to be getting a bit heavier, but I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. We got about 9 minutes and 9 seconds left in the race here. Looks to me like our drivers are pretty much in the order they will finish the race in. Let's go ahead and, for you, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and try and find a really close contention like this one here, actually. So we got Moriarty right now following Upton. Upton in the Bentley, just leading Moriarty in the Ferrari. The Ferrari here, let's look at the straight line speed it's got and the high speed cornering capabilities. Ferrari just looks planted. Bentley having to throw its weight throughout the corners here. Moriarty is going to try and get the run down on Upton. Sneaks just around the outside, can't quite get it done. Moriarty's going to try and fancy his chances at the end of the next straight. Is going to put his car right in the slipstream, which is going to help a lot with the 6 km/h crosswind that's coming out from just in front and to the right of them. Very nice from Moriarty. He's just keeping it planted behind his car, is looking for his opportunity. Will he be able to find it? He's going to try and just sneak his nose in there. Upton can't quite get, Moriarty can't quite get it done. Moriarty's now going to have Cross on his tail. These 3 drivers fighting for 18th place are really going to have to watch out because they cannot slow each other down to bring Trulli and Weller into this race. They're going to need to keep it clean, and Moriarty right now is in the tricky position of defending and trying to pass. Coming around the last couple turns here, turn number 18 and 19 right before we head down the main straight. Main straight not seeing a whole lot of elevation change, so expect it to be full straight line speed down the straight here. Moriarty in the Ferrari looks like he's losing a little bit of time to Upton currently. Not what you want to be seeing, especially with only 7 minutes and 12 seconds left in the race. In the meantime, let's go ahead and see. We'll check back in, but let's see if we can find anyone else that is a lot closer on the track at the moment. Clemens and Fitzpatrick aren't too far apart from each other. Marsh and McLeod are actually very close. We got Marsh right there in the green and white Ferrari, and McLeod at the bottom in the purple Honda NSX. Only half a second between the two, and that is a battle for 14th place. Just ahead of them there, we have Portis. So let's go ahead and focus on McLeod here. Portis is in that green Honda. McLeod in the Honda just behind him, and Marsh in the green Ferrari bringing up the back. Right now, coming up to the back marker, not the back marker, actually a front marker of Pride. Pride is a half a second in front of this group here, so they cannot impede his race because Pride in 4th right now is trying to track down Joe McCauley roughly 4 seconds ahead of him, and we go around. McLeod and Portis get together and collect Fitzpatrick, collect Newman along the way. That is not good for our drivers here. Completely turned around McLeod is. I can't believe we just happened to catch that one. Wow, so there you have it. They get back on to the track. Fitzpatrick is not going to be happy about that. He in 6th place, getting caught up in that, is going to be very upset, I imagine. Wow, McLeod and Fitzpatrick may be the first start of our rivalry here. That was an absolute mess. Watching the replay on the stream delay, a mess of a race re-entry from a couple of them. That was just devastating for both of their races, especially this late in the race. Doesn't look like either of them will have to pit at the moment. Right now we got Portis coming up on Newman. This is still a relatively close battle between the two of them. Clements is now getting closer to Pride, so we're going to check in on that in a moment. But Portis doing all he can to close the gap to Newman in the McLaren. Portis coming down the main straight, 0.8 seconds behind Newman. 6.3 seconds behind Marsh. Clements now 1.4 seconds behind Pride. This is probably the closest chance that we have to getting something that is going to resemble a battle for top points position. Macaulay and Barrier currently 7 seconds separate them, and Barrier is more than 30 seconds behind our race leader, Kokelt, at the moment. Clemens doing everything he can to get himself in that slipstream as we pass the 4-minute and 15-second mark left in the race. It looks like we're going to get a couple. Oh, Pride runs wide. Clemens is going to capitalize on that. He gets right up on the back of him. Can't quite get the job done, but he is now much, much closer than he was before. Transferring to the overhead view, it's the Aston Martin and the BMW. The BMW is favored around this track for its extra ride height and its versatility. But right now, the Aston Martin of Clements saw that mistake from Pride and is going to be watching very, very closely for another mistake of similar impact. Because all that it would take for Clements to take over that position is a similar mistake from Pride one more time before Clements is just handed that position effectively. Clements now getting pretty aggressive on his entry to the turns there. Takes a lot of curb. Wow, as you can see that Aston Martin hopping all the way around. Marsh in the Ferrari behind them runs wide. The gap between Newman and 14th and Marsh in 13th is now going to close. Portis just behind Newman, be on the lookout for that pass to be made. Right now, closest battle going on between Clements and Pride right now at the moment. Clements in the back in the Aston Martin, Pride in that BMW. Clements looking to get a run on him, just looking everywhere he can to get an opening, decides the better of sticking his nose in there. Now goes down the inside, gets past him. BMW has to run wide, rejoins the track, is going to squeeze Clements ever so slightly, but it looks like Pride has his head on straight, is going to give him room. Clements jumps back in front, gets back to the racing line with a slightly wet tires as he goes outside, goes back down the inside, goes Pride. Gets the pass done. Clements isn't able to quite get past him. Clements now with a lot of space to make up between himself and Pride at the moment. It's going to be looking at the back of Pride, hoping that he can close that before the next 2 minutes and 15 seconds ends. So what we've got, ladies and gentlemen, is the timer will run out. The leader of the race will cross the start-finish line one more time, and then we will start seeing the results pouring in. So we've got 2 minutes left until time is called. Riding along right now with Pride and Clements. Clements has got to know that this is possibly has 3 laps left, but that is at most. That's if he gets through this, gets through the second one, and then is able to start another lap after the leader. But I doubt that is going to happen at this point. Clements tries to pull alongside, can't quite get it done. I think we're going to see another pass attempt from Clements here going into the closing stage of the race. We got 1 minute and 30 seconds left with a battle for third currently. There are still 4 seconds between Barrier in second and Macaulay in third, and over 30 seconds between Barrier in second and our race leader, Van de Kokelt, in first. Pride staying out in front, keeping his head on straight. Pride has had more small mistakes than Clements has since we've started watching him. Final lap for our drivers here. Pride looking like he might have lost position there. Clements is going to try back for it again, trying to get the exit on the corner there. Excuse me, Aston Martin getting the power down as much as it possibly can with those massive rear wheels. Clements in 5th, Pride only 0.2 of a second ahead in 4th. Wow, getting right on the back of him. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like from inside the cabin. Very, very close. Wow, almost lost it over the curbs there. That Aston Martin is going to have some trouble. 18 seconds, 16 seconds. I believe they get a chance to finish the lap they're on if they cross the line before the timer is up. And I believe they did. So I think they still get to race for the rest of this lap. Clements and Pride still going at it, so they've got the rest of this lap and possibly one more before the race ends. I have to get a little more familiar with that. Clements pulls up alongside, gets his nose in there, but isn't quite able to get anything meaningful done. Pride defending very well, putting his car just where he needs to. That BMW, it's a wide car. A lot of these GT cars are, so it doesn't take a whole lot with a little bit of creative driving and fancy footwork to keep your car in a position that really keeps other drivers out of the way and keeps them out of contention. Looks like the race winner is crossing the finish line at the moment. Van de Kolkelt looks like he's going to be our winner. Next battle for position is between Pride and Clements right now. Clements runs super wide, opening the door for Marsh behind him to possibly gain up some time. We got the Mercedes of Belfley going through. Clements trying to get the run on Pride no matter what he can do, just can't seem to get it done. And then come to the end of Sector 2 here. Into Sector 3. Nice apex clip, but as you can see, Clements took that last one pretty close. You can tell he's really fighting, trying to put the pressure on Pride, force a mistake here. Pride, so far, has been shown to be robust, and since we've been watching him the last 5 minutes or so, we've only seen him make one mistake. It's going to be a drag race down to the line. Clements trying to get into that slipstream. Going across the line now, we've got Pride, then Clements. Very nice finish from them right now. We got Barrier in second, McCauley in third, and one can only assume we've got Van de Kolkelt in fourth. Looks like Wood still has yet to finish. He's going to be crossing the start-finish line there, going slowly, trying not to impede anyone else's race. Good call from him. We've got Weller trying to close the 2.2 second gap on Junior. I believe they are going to come across the start-finish line and be finished. But they are not quite done with their race at the moment. They still have to complete the same number of laps that the race leader did. Number of cars in the pits already decided that they have had enough and are not going. Van de Kolkelt is showing in sixth. That cannot be right. And Barrier in first. We're going to have to wait until the times shake out. And there we go. Kolkelt in first, Barrier in second, McCauley in third, Pride in fourth. Fifth is Clements, Fitzpatrick in sixth, Huesca in seventh, Sosa in eighth, Warren in ninth, Vervoort in 10th, Ruiz, where was he at? Oh, and we restarted. Okay, cool. So it goes right into practice. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There's your race for today. That was the first race of our GT series here at PPR. Of course, our fair share of technical issues here today. It was a pretty good race. We'll get better at it we'll get better at it as we go. But that's what we have for our first race of many for PPR GT3 series. We're excited to have you. We're excited about the switch to Twitch. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Make sure you come back tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be right here, same Twitch channel. That's our norm now, is going to be on Twitch. We're going to be streaming Formula 1 PPR PC Division 1. It'll be myself and Cosmo in the booth commentating for that. So be sure to stop in 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, we've got our Xbox League. We've got D2 for PC on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. That should be a good one. We've got a few reserves coming in, trying to remain competitive for next year and get their hat thrown into the ring. Next, after that, we have Xbox Division 3, which races on Thursdays, PS4, Division 1 for Formula 1 that races on Fridays, and all sorts of events mixed in between. Follow us on Twitter, PPR Esports. You're going to go ahead and find us, or visit us online at ppresports.com. You'll see us there. You'll figure out how to join our Discord if you want to be GT racer or a F1 racer or even a commentator. We have opening for all of them. So please go to our website, ppresports.com, join the Discord server, get yourself involved, and we might just see you in the booth or on track. Well, thank you everyone for coming out for the premiere race of our PPR Season 3 of GT Racing. We hope to see you next week at this time, 9 p.m. Eastern. We hope to see you then. Thank you everyone for coming out, and we will see you next week.